Welcome to a Drop Tent Media production.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. I have a dream.
Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
December 7th, 1941.
I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
A date which will live in infamy.
Nazi buildings down. We'll hear all of us soon. I have a dream.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to High History. I'm your host, Blaise G. You can find me at Blaise G Comedy. We got two guests today. The first one, I don't know which direction he falls under, the gay one, whichever one that is. His name's Adam Nutter. Welcome back, Adam.
Yes.
Fan favorite, I think. I don't know. You're my favorite. I'm a fan favorite.
Good. I'm glad I'm the gay square. That makes me happy.
Yeah. You can find him at
Adam Nutter on everything. At Adam Nutter Comedy on Facebook.
Nutter? I don't even know her. Our next guest. Our next guest is Zack. How do you say your last name?
Jesus Christ.
Petrovich. Everyone.
What?
Every podcast I'm on, it's Petrovich.
Peanuts.
Okay.
Peanuts.
Zack Petrovich, the Milk Bandit, is here today. And today, where can they find you, Zack?
You can find me at Zachy Peanuts, Z-A-C-H-Y, Peanuts like the allergy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Zachy Penis. Go there. Check out all the stuff.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to be talking about the misuse of federal power and what is known, what's a word for well-known, notoriously known for killing a bunch of people. We're talking about Waco today, boys.
Yeah. As a hardcore libertarian, I love that incident because I get to be like, look at what happened.
Yeah. You give the government thanks. See what they do with them. Yeah.
I hate the fact that children were murdered, but I love the fact that I get to go, hey, look, I'm right, and you guys are wrong about government.
Yeah.
That's what I get to do.
Zack, what's your overall take on Waco?
I don't know, man. I think the whole cult thing is just an interesting subject in general. Just the idea of people blindly following is always hysterical when you not hysterical, but I mean, it's crazy. You think to an extent they're not following, how does it happen? But I think it's a very interesting story about where they came from, where it got to. And I'm excited to talk about it.
All right. So let's get into the first thing. Were Koresh's followers, was that a cult?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Of course it was a cult, but it's not illegal. A cult's not illegal.
Right. Okay.
So
go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say just because I feel like this is important. I feel like I care about this thing for two reasons a lot. Because one, of the libertarian shit and the anti-government stuff, but also I used to be a cop, so and I hated that. Yeah, but I also could approach this from a tactical standpoint, from the raid itself and what the ATF did wrong.
Yeah,
so we could talk about it both ways.
Well.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of people are dumb. They look at movies.
On itself.
Yeah, I know, but people watch movies and they go "What? I don't understand what they did wrong." It's everything. What do you mean?
Yeah,
from a tactic standpoint.
Yeah, let's hop into the story.
Is my favorite. They just they're going up on. You guys know the story, yeah?
Of course.
Yeah. But we want to break it down as we go for the people listening.
Yeah, let's go in order. But I just wanted to give a little bit of my background or what I think I could bring to the table for this conversation. So I have a little bit of knowledge of some shit I'm going to talk about is my point.
Yes. Yeah. Zack, you can make your point. Sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, no. All good. It's
you didn't have a point. All right. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that was good. That got me. I was like, yeah, what is your point? He got me too.
No, I mean, what I was saying about the Postman is just that's a perfect example of things you do wrong. They were so openly visible to everybody. It was not done in a way that they kind of just they shit the bed. It's
yeah. Yeah, so let's hop into, I guess, the beginning. Where do you guys think this really starts? Because my knowledge on this is kind of based on a little bit of research and the hit series on Netflix.
Yeah.
So to me, the story picks up with David Thibodeau playing, I guess, just jamming with Koresh and his band at some venue, like a bar or something.
Because Koresh had like some shitty cover band that he would tour like the local scene with, like the bars with.
Dude, they made him seem like he was a good musician. Dude,
I know, like he was shredding.
First of all, have you guys watched the show?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what happened was basically what happened is Billingsley lost the state championship in Friday Night Lights, and then he started a cult.
Okay, all right.
It's the same actor. That's what I'm getting at.
No, yeah, no.
Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He did a really good job in the show, I think.
He did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I think that whole time period, because I was like, that was like what, like early 90s, late 80s,
Yeah,
like when the US was big
like
into like white nationalism and like white supremacy. That was like it was like flaring up again, like the anti-government.
It's the
movement.
United States is herpes. Yeah, it just flares up. Yeah.
Which this annoys me. The anti-government movement always gets lumped in with the fucking nationalist movement, like the white nationalist movement. I'm like, I'm for the anti-government part. I'm not for.
Yeah, that's just because
together.
all the white nationalists share that view. That's all.
Right. I know
Which is
why.
an unfortunate thing. Yeah.
But so the government was like really attacking like all these they were really like the FBI was going after them hard because they were like, oh, this is a threat to us. And you know, like here's the thing: the government doesn't give a shit they're racist, that they're racist groups. They only care if they're a threat to them. So exactly. Under the guise of like, we're stopping racism, like, no, you're not. You're stopping the threat to the government is all you're doing. So shut the fuck up. I'm not an idiot. So, okay, so they're going out and they're hitting all these like white supremacy groups. Ruby Ridge right before that, right? That was a big one. They shot an innocent woman.
I think they show that actually in the show.
What for Waco here? So here's a couple facts behind it. The Waco siege was between February 28th, 1993 and April 19th, 1993. So they actually got their they got their warrant for stockpiling of illegal weapons.
Right.
The ATF, right?
Which
The
I mean,
ATF did, yeah.
If you're gonna have a multiple months long stand up, you had illegal weapons, my dude.
So hold on though. So
Dude, wait, the ATF. Hold on. ATF stands for alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're
And
literally
cults.
the
Actually,
fun
and cults.
police. They're the fun police, is what they are.
They actually, in fact, after Waco, which is psychotic to me, after the Waco thing, they also got put in charge of cults.
Yeah, which is like, I feel like we've learned that they can't handle this appropriately.
Right. It's like, you guys really shit the bed, so we're going to put you in charge of all that from here on out, okay?
Right, yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous. But see, right. But even with the... Even with the illegal gun thing, that's even skewed truth because they were actually buying illegal guns and modifying them to go full auto. So yes,
which is illegal.
Which is still illegal.
It's technically illegal, but like they weren't buying illegal guns.
Yeah, it wasn't about the buying of it. It was about them stockpiling.
Yeah, which
the warrant was stockpiling illegal guns is illegal.
They didn't know they were illegal.
Yeah, they did.
Not at the time.
Well, they had reason to believe.
Right, that's my point. So they just went in there because they were like, we don't like this cult. That's my point. Is the reason behind all of it was bullshit. They didn't know all that until halfway in.
And like the kid touching and diddling and shit. Yeah.
Right. Koresh, by the way, is a gigantic piece of shit. He's a pedophile and should be killed.
A genius.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Bro, if you can trick 30 other dudes to let you and only you fuck their wives, bro.
Yeah, the burden was on him.
Dude, that part of the show is so funny where, we can get to it later or whatever. But so, yeah, he meets Thibodeau. He convinces him to come, I guess, just check out his lifestyle, which is really strict religion.
Real Bible thumping.
Like real, he was talking about the 7 something and the
7 seals.
Some version where he convinces all these people that he has a direct link to God. I believe. Right. Is really
claims to be a prophet. And,
right.
It's kind of the Messiah complex. I mean, obviously, you guys know what that is. If it you see that a lot with cults in general. I mean, you look at the cult from Wild Wild Country. What the fuck were their names?
Oh, I forgot. But they took over like a whole state almost, like a whole portion of a state.
Yeah. Oregon. They took over a lot of Oregon, and that's actually why Oregon has a huge homeless problem. They found out.
Really interesting.
But anyway, but the Messiah complex. You have it with them. You have it with Jim Jones.
Blaise, I'm getting a really bad fuzz for some reason.
The very east
from me.
I think so.
So that's gone.
Yeah, it's gone now. Whatever you did, sorry.
How about now?
Better.
Yeah.
Better?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. To kill that.
No,
I apologize.
you.
It was just I almost couldn't hear Zach, so.
Okay.
Oh. So so just you look through Jim Jones, you look at all these other things. Charles Manson less, he kind of used more LSD and that kind of idea of religion. But I mean, using religion is such a common thing with these groups because the fact is, as I sit here with a cross on my chest, fucking religious groups produce a follower kind of mentality. You know what I mean? They're already bought in, following, and then they have this guy Koresh who's obviously very charming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Able to,
you have to.
He talk his fucking way out of a goddamn paper bag, and all of a sudden, hey, I'm Jesus. And it's like, oh, you are?
Why?
You were cool.
Why do you think that? And then they can somehow convince people. I mean, but here's the thing. This is why libertarianism is big on like I have to separate my morality from legality, right? So like my moralness shouldn't interpret law and vice versa, right? Which is the problem with a lot of what's going on in the country now is like a lot of people's like, well, my feelings should be a law. It's like, no, they shouldn't. It never should. So like I look at cults and I go, no, that's a danger for sure. And you shouldn't do it. But as long as you're not fucking kids or, buying illegal guns, then go nuts.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of adults if you want to be a cuck and let some guy cuck you and your wife, okay, that's your prerogative.
That
right?
sounds more like a commune without the weapons and the religion, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Mormonism in a way, right?
Knock your socks off. Yeah, knock your socks off.
Yeah.
So,
exactly
okay. I'm just Zach, you got something else? I don't know. Anyone else?
Just laughing at Evan dying in the corner.
Okay, so then we'll move on. So then he brings Thibodeau in. Thibodeau's hanging out. He kind of likes what's going on. Koresh gives like Bible study every day, and he is the only one who talks. Bro, first of all, how boring would every day? Dude, he's been over the book. If you've been there for a year, he went over the whole book.
But don't forget, his whole thing was like, I am a prophet that can interpret the seven seals a new way, and they're happening, and I'm showing you they're happening, and it's happening in front of us. You have to listen to me if you want to move on to the next. That was his whole thing, though.
I know, but it would just be hard.
Like, ooh.
Yeah, it would just be hard for me to be like, I love this part, where Jesus and what it's like.
He made them think that he was of divine power, that he had something that nobody else had, and these people ate it up.
Yeah,
which
they
is sad.
Legitimately, I believe, thought that God was talking to him. Is the way that they portrayed it.
That's what happens. Yeah.
Like
sad.
He would say to them that I talked to God today,
Right.
And if you believe that, dude, imagine the tremendous power that would provide, though, if you really believe that.
Of course. Yeah, of course. But again, all that, and no one knew about, outside of that commune, the law didn't know that he was, banging 14-year-olds and stuff like that. So,
I think they found that out way later, I feel like, when they put the CIA guys, or I'm sorry, the ATF guys in the house across the street or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. The reason they started even really infiltrating them was this is a weird cult, and we think they're doing some weird shit.
Well, yeah,
they fucked up Ruby Ridge.
It's weird anywhere you go where you show up and there's 60 people there, half dudes, half women, some children and stuff. And you're like, damn, there's a lot of kids. Who's the dad? And it's just one guy's the dad?
Right. Well, because then you have incest going on probably.
Yeah.
Which is illegal.
Shit.
Well, eventually, yeah. I mean, it would have to be. I mean, if he's, it's crazy. The amount, the whole thing with, this is where this one really fucks with me because it's it's kids. You know what I mean? There's so many kids that were a part of this, and it's just insane that this guy was able to I don't know. this is the part that like really gets me about the story, though.
I think they hit it on the show a little bit when they were like the ATF guys are like, hey. So we fucked up Ruby Ridge. The public hates us, right? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, hear me out. There's another cult in Texas. Let us handle this one. We'll look like the great heroes. We're going to pull out these kids. You know, if there's kids there, whatever, we're going to come out with stuff because we think they're – because we heard they're stockpiling guns.
Well, you're coming out with bodies,
there's no proof. They just go, oh, we heard they're buying guns. We heard. Okay, well, what does that mean? So then they went in, and so that was their whole idea, right? It was like, we're going to look like heroes. We're going to pull out all these fucking guns. We're like, yeah, we fucking did it. And then they just – all they cared about was optics.
That's right.
So they didn't care. There was no planning. There was no thought. They sent in a fucking they sent in an undercover guy a little bit. He couldn't even find where the guns were.
That's true.
So he barely had a soft layout of the compound, a gigantic compound, by the way. So then the day of the day of the raid, if you look at this compound, it's just a giant compound in the middle of a giant flat field. There's nothing around it. There's nothing around it,
which is tactically brilliant.
Right. So all the ATF, what do? They roll up with fucking tractors and a bunch of Humvees. So their only cover is what? Humvees. They have no supply line because they're in the middle of nowhere. They have absolutely no cover at all. They're shooting up at a tactical disadvantage. Yeah. And they only have the ammo they brought with them. As opposed to the Branch Davidians, where even though they're not trained and there's less of them, you know, all I have to do is fortify myself behind a window with an assault rifle, a fully automatic assault rifle, and I can hold off everybody.
You can just duck down, start pulling the trigger,
and then
hit something.
And then they storm with ladders, and they're entering a window,
it's 1425. Yeah.
And they're entering a single file window one by one, so you can't suppress fire, you can't properly clear out a room, and you're entering a heavy gunfire. Just the same as that gunfire you're entering.
You could just stand there with a bayonet. Just wait for them to come up one by one.
So fucking from the get-go, they didn't give a shit. They didn't give a shit.
Yeah. That's where a lot of the pressure comes in from the public is the perception. So like in the show, a lot of times they're saying like the public's they want this to end and stuff like that. And the United States is notorious for listening to that voice instead of doing what's right.
Right. And then what happens? And then they realize, I don't know how true that was in the show where I think that was true. They called the local sheriff's department.
Yeah, right.
And they were like, but I don't know if that was true.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I mean, that show is based off that guy's book, Thibodeau.
Right.
So.
But I do know it's true. With the ATF, they did come to see. You can pull out that footage if we wanted to. Them backing up the driveway with their hands up. That's all true. That happened. Like, there's footage of all that shit. Like, at some point there was a ceasefire because 4 ATF agents got killed. They killed a few Branch Davidians. Ceasefire was drawn because they were fucking there was kids still in there and like pregnant women and shit. So then they started backing up and they called the FBI.
So the way the shots pop off in the show, I know you know, Adam, but Zach doesn't, and neither does the listener, is the ATF comes up and Koresh is like, all right, I'm going to go outside and talk to them. And he goes outside, and this seems, I don't know if it's believable, but it kind of is, that like these dogs ran up and the ATF agents shot the dogs. So I guess the other ATF agents behind them thought that it was the Branch Davidian shooting. So the ATF started shooting, then the Branch Davidians started shooting back. And David Koresh himself famously is also wounded at that moment.
He gets shot in the stomach.
Like
right away.
Like right away. Right.
He got shot in the during that whole entire standoff.
He's standing
he was
in the doorway.
Dying. He was dying anyway. He was probably going to die from an injury. He was slowly dying. He was like going to like shot. But you know, there's another account where they had helicopters flying around. And the ATF and FBI, to this day, were like, there were no weapons on those helicopters. But if you watch that footage, you can see a helicopter flying by, and there's clearly a fucking long gun with the guy with the long rifle hanging out that fucking helicopter. So A, they're lying right away. 2, also they think he shot somebody first. And that set off the rounds. But that's a theory that it can't be proven. But they were lying. They actually had guns in those choppers. 100% had guns in those choppers.
The recording I heard, I think ABC featured it when they did their like 2020 or whatever the fuck ABC does. That the guy the guy in the helicopter is saying, "Hey, they're shooting at us. They're shooting up at us."
Right.
There's like an audio recording of him saying that. So
but they weren't.
He said something like 6 rounds.
Something like that.
Yeah, fucking, it's insane.
So then we're all in agreement that the ATF fired first on this one.
I think,
probably. I mean, we can't prove it, but right.
Cover-up shit, that's definitely like, it seemed like it's an after-the-fact kind of a thing.
What do you think? ATF went first?
I mean,
Yeah.
I was, as you were, Blaise, like 2 when this went down. So
yeah, I was 3. Yeah,
I remember it on TV a little bit.
Really?
I remember a little bit because my dad.
I keep forgetting you're 46, bro. My bad.
Yeah, I'm actually 102. So I was 50 years old when Waco happened.
He was there.
Yeah. So that's what happened. So right away they just start shooting. Not right away. You know what I'm saying? But the shots go off, and there was, I guess I don't know how long the initial. Probably minutes, but it probably felt
they
like
said it was a few hours. I thought.
Was it hours? How much?
I believe it was like 4 hours. I don't know. I mean, but there was like 80 ATF agents.
Yeah, I mean that's true. But what they finally retreated, and the FBI got sent in because Janet Reno, because this was under Clinton administration. Clinton had Janet Reno as the she was the what was she? The defense secretary? No, Department of
Homeland Security.
Real quick.
What was Janet Reno? Department of Attorney General.
So this is fun. This is 2 quick things. Oh, he's going through some weird time warp.
Zach?
What?
Yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
His connection's been kind of bad this whole time, no? Zach, you're kind of...
Yeah, you've been jumpy.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You want to go turn your Xbox off or something? Like, what are you doing?
Everything's off.
Oh, God.
No, what were you going to say?
No, fucking... does Will Ferrell play Janet Reno in the show?
Yeah. Because I'm Janet Reno.
No, but real quick, I got 2 things about Mr. Koresh that's actually kind of interesting. This is both off of history.com. David Koresh, totally not his real name, at all.
Was it?
Vernon Wayne Howell.
His real name was Jesus.
This is another thing that actually got me, and this is not fun at all. So Mr. Wayne, aka Koresh, he joined the Branch Davidians when he was 22 years old, and then started an affair with the group's president, this lady Lois Roden. She was in her 60s. Her son, Roden. It. Don't think that it's anything that you think, because it's probably not. Just stop. Whatever you're trying to do, just stop. Her son.
It's my show. I'll do the joke if I want.
Yeah, well, it probably wasn't funny. I don't. That doesn't.
It was.
That's not.
Everyone here's laughing. Go ahead.
All right. Well, her son was named George. I'm not even gonna do the last name because he fucked with it last time.
Wrote him.
So her son didn't.
George wrote him.
Wrote him. Now it's all going to be in my mind.
It's with an N, but sure. He wasn't.
What year is it?
Oh my God, he wasn't.
Shut up.
Yeah, he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy with the fact that this dude who changed his name and joined these guys, and literally he said to this lady Lois, that he repeatedly tried to take over as the leader of the group, and said to her multiple times that he was destined to father a child with her. Like that was his that was his meaning in life, was to lead the group and father a child with. So George was like, "No, that's weird." George and Wayne / Koresh / who the fuck ever this guy is, got into a fight. The fight ended when George was shot in the chest and hands. Koresh / Wayne was taken for attempted murder, but was let go after a mistrial.
Whoa, I didn't know any of that.
Me either.
That's super
this guy basically said,
this guy's a murderer.
My purpose in life is to fuck you.
This guy's mom.
Yeah.
This guy's old mom who's not having kids. Like, you're probably not having kids in your mid-60s. I mean, that's
crazy, dude.
That's crazy.
So this guy had a history. So it was like that diminishes his validity in any sort of teaching way.
Exactly. So why would you? That's just.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing about Koresh, though. I don't think he was crazy in the sense of like, I believe this crazy. I think he was crazy in the sense of like, I want to be the god of a sex cult crazy, and I know I'm lying.
I want to manipulate people. This is my thing. I know
this is bullshit. As opposed to like Marshall Applewhite from the Heaven's Gate religion, who's like, alien ship's coming. We're gonna be on it. Drink this poison. I'm doing it with
like
you.
The dude's actually out of his mind.
That guy actually believed. Like he believed. I think Koresh was just a con man who just wanted a sex cult.
Who loved to fuck.
Hey, I don't know if this is a hot take or anything, but Koresh is worse than being a crazy guy.
Like because he's using people.
Hold on, Zach, trying to talk.
Wait. Oh, am I going?
Yes.
Yeah, you're up.
Sorry. Yeah, you keep cutting.
Because your connection's garbage, so we have to like we hear you. We stop talking when we hear you.
So I don't even fucking know what I was gonna say. I don't even fucking know anymore. I don't know. Fuck it.
That's a hot take.
Hot take, Zach.
Yeah. No.
I mean, dude,
take that out of my mind.
You would have to be a pretty, like I said, I don't know. We weren't taping yet, I don't think, but where I said you would have to be pretty awesome to like convince 30 other dudes to let you fuck their. Like that's pretty crazy, dude. Like there's a part in the show where the guy Thibodeau is like, Koresh says to him like, we don't have tourists, like you gonna stay? And he's like, well, I had to think about it, like, and he's like, all right, but if you stay, you can have like no sex ever. And then he's like, oh no, what about like if you're married? He's like, not even them. I've assumed the burden of sex.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sure you have. You've assumed the burden. Buddy. Yeah. I'm gonna start doing that, assuming the burden for other people.
You should. I want to see Blaise go out next when we start doing comedy again after a show and being like, "Hey, sir, I need to assume the burden of sex with your wife."
Yeah. God, talk to me. God, talk to me.
Listen to him. He knows. But after the ATF retreats and the FBI comes in, that's where Gary Nassib, the other guy who wrote the book, the negotiator, he comes in and takes over. And he's he worked for the FBI, so take that with a grain of salt. But he seemed to have a head on his shoulders, and he seemed to actually give a shit. And he didn't seem gung ho about like, hey, let's not murder everybody.
Right.
But this is when the Clinton Reno thing comes into play later on, and I'll get into that later.
Because in the show, it shows the negotiator. What's the word? I don't know. No. Adamantly, pressing his bosses that he wants this to end on peaceful any terms because there's innocent children involved. It seemed like in the show anyway that he really, really actually gave a shit what happened to those innocent people inside.
Yeah, well, I think he was part of Ruby Ridge too. He wasn't the lead guy of Ruby Ridge, but he was there, right, or something like that. So he saw how that got fucked up, the whole Ruby Ridge, and he was like, "No, this isn't what negotiators do. We're not meant to just walk you out to a sniper rifle's fucking scope, like
Right.
He's like, we're meant to fucking bring you in peacefully and go to jail and do your time and do what they're supposed to do. Because again, people are like, "Oh, you for the death penalty?" Like, I'm not, because. Two reasons. One, it's not a deterrent. That's bullshit. And two, who the fuck is the state to decide who lives and dies?
Especially before forensics.
Right. Also, they're wrong. Right. Like mistrial. Innocent people do go to jail. Like there have been innocent people on death row that have been proven innocent. So that means for a fact, innocent people for sure have been put to death before. Right. In this country, that's one too many. So I don't think the death penalty should be a thing. That's bullshit. So that aside, so I think Nassib is the guy's name, the FBI negotiator. If you looked it up, the FBI negotiator, Gary Nassib or Nasser.
I know his first name's Gary for sure. Yeah. I don't know his last
name. So I think his whole thing was like, hey, let's fucking bring this peacefully in, because also optics, hey, guess what? Country kind of mad at us right now.
It was Gary Nosner.
Nosner. Jesus Christ. Okay. Off 3 times. I was wrong 3 times.
Samsonite. I was way off.
I was way off. Samsonite.
Gary Samsonite. That'd be a way better name.
Gary Samsonite said, Nosner? Okay.
Gary Samsonite.
So his whole thing was like, hey, let's bring this in. But now, Koresh is dragging it out. He's not going to, because he wants to be right. He wants to be heard, and this is also his moment to shine, right? It's his moment to be like, look, I want this is my time for the public to hear me out.
Yeah, he's all about his message, spreading his message.
Right.
Seeing how many women he could potentially fuck. Yeah.
Now, I think what happened was, or what we kind of know what happened was, Clinton was like, hey, this is too long now. I'm getting too much shit. So he goes to Reno, his AG, right? And he's like, hey, end this shit.
Yeah.
And then she goes to the FBI, I guess, guy, the special agent on scene, and she's like, hey, end this shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, end this shit? And she goes, end this shit. And he's like, okay, mount up.
And then you see that moment of them saying, we're ending this shit in the show, but you don't see all the overheads.
Because that's the thing. Reno and Clinton never get blamed for their responsibility in Waco.
Dude,
but that's bullshit. Just responsible.
They should have had a scene where someone opens the door and he's getting blown. And it's like, end that shit.
Get out here and end that shit.
yeah.
Waco
Send in the next one. Yeah, exactly.
But they're just as to blame because they're the ones who sent the order down, and they just get away scot-free with it all the time. It pisses me off.
A lot of administrations do.
Okay.
What did you say?
It was balanced. That's all they needed. You know what I mean? Like that wipes all of Bill Clinton's sins away. Didn't you know that?
I didn't hear what he said.
Clean slate. He said it wipes off all Bill Clinton's sins away.
Yes.
But and then here's the thing. So the FBI, they're like, well, we're not going to send people in because they're heavily fortified. So what we're going to do is we're going to use CS gas, which is a banned war substance for the Geneva Convention, I believe, right?
Yes.
We're going to use it on American citizens instead.
And the history of that CS gas that they used is in all previous situations. They, like in Philadelphia, they use it. Every time they've used it, it's caught on fire and killed everyone inside.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And for some reason, they thought, we'll use it again, but this time it will be different.
And then, then you have reports of like the Davidians setting the place on fire. And it's like, okay, so why would they do that?
Yeah, they're stuck inside. Why would they do that?
And I guess you could say, well, he was crazy. He was going to martyr everybody. Maybe.
I mean, the way the show paints it is that's not the case.
I mean, here's the thing.
In a way, he did, though. In a way, he did because the negotiator kept being like, they'd be like, we need milk. He'd be like, I'll send milk, but you got to send like some kids out. But he would always, Koresh would always say like, no, they're not going. But it's like, so in a way he was like,
Well, again, he's not a hero here. He's an abomination. But like,
but the people are innocent, dude.
Right, but that's the thing is because he's an abomination doesn't mean innocent people deserve to die, and it doesn't mean that the government was right.
Right, 100%. There's only one person who needed to die that day.
Right, Koresh.
And his name's David Koresh. Yeah.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. But like, again, even if we don't know for a fact, right, if they burnt the place down or not. But regardless, if you're using a banned war substance, what makes it okay to use on American citizens?
You mean without everyone being burned to death? You're saying just like the general point of don't use gas. That's chemical warfare in my mind.
On our own citizens. That's what I'm saying.
I don't care where you use gas.
Of course.
All the person who said go ahead should have been hanged for war crimes
100%,
or
100%
crimes against humanity.
100% agree with you. It's treasonous. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And that guy probably just fucking walked away.
Probably
that
got
guy
fucking raised.
That ended up making the call in the end.
Yeah, he probably got a fucking bump. They're like, good job. Did you ever see Zach Frost? Did you ever see the
I thought he was
pictures?
just like contemplating life like so hardly. Like damn.
He should just fucking exit out and join back in. Did you ever see the pictures of the aftermath? Like the actual
the whole place is gone.
You actually see the pictures of like melted children? It's terrible.
No.
Yeah, it's horrible. And then it's funny too because then you have like all the fucking law enforcement apologists. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, they felt bad that day. I can show you pictures of FBI agents like
fingering them,
taking like hunting poses over the smoldering building.
Yeah.
Oh, they really felt bad, right? Fuck you. Like, no, they didn't. Fuck you.
No, when people get angry, then they feel bad. But in the moment, of course, they never do.
You know, it's like such bullshit.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of those dudes are, you know, I imagine ATF agents that are in that position would be former military.
Yeah, probably.
And those dudes are fucking nuts.
Yeah.
You would hope, though. I mean, I don't think, just based on how the whole operation was handled, I was going to say this earlier, I don't think there was like this was not planned well. Like,
no.
If it was former military, I feel like former military would know how to.
No, I'm saying the guys on the ground with the MP5s and shit. Those guys are probably former military.
Like the guys running the operation.
I'm saying,
here's the thing with law enforcement, and this is what I realized from being in law enforcement. Just because you're an upper echelon brass in law enforcement doesn't mean you're smart. It means you either know people or you're great at test taking, and you're actually retarded when it comes to practical law enforcement or practical tactical use. So this guy could have been like, I don't know, fucking, they told me to do a plan, raid the fucking building. We're going to put ladders up. Here's the layout. I don't fucking know. I don't know what I'm really doing, but I'm going to act like I do because I have too much ego and narcissism to actually go maybe to somebody who's more tactically inclined to be like, how should we do this properly?
Yeah, but if you're one of those boots on the ground that was like in a war, and now you have some like fat fuck telling you, hey, this is Stormy. Like,
so here's the thing.
One of those guys is going to be like, hey, fucking no.
No, because no, because they don't have a brain of their own. They just follow orders. That's what they do. So they're not going to be like, nope. They're going to be like, nope, following orders. It's not like
that's their entire job.
That's their job. Like what I'm saying. This is when I say, like, hey, the cops aren't your fucking friend. Soldiers aren't your fucking friend. They're tools of the government, and they're used by the government to do what the government wants. The cops are supposed to be protecting us on our side.
Nah, they just do public shakedowns.
But, you know, they don't anymore because over the course of police history in this country, it got turned into the government's security dogs. That's all that happened.
I mean, I would imagine there was one point in American history where police were actually really good people. For the most part, there's always been a sort of level of corruption or whatnot.
Super corrupt.
I believe that people joined back then maybe more for a good reason. Now today, it's like a lot of people either don't, you know, I guess they don't have a direction or they need some sort of power in their life.
So I took a whole thing of police history when I was in college because I was, you know, and I was interested in it. And turns out, like, especially in New York City, it was super corrupt a bunch of times. But the earliest, like the first time it was corrupt, Teddy Roosevelt actually cleaned it up. He was the one who cleaned it up. But before Teddy Roosevelt, like those guys,
him and his big stick,
they kind of use cops to be corrupt to like other companies and stuff like that. They kind of use them as like thugs. But like the common guy, they were like whatever, like, you know, as long as you're being cool. The
general public, yeah.
But then over the course of time, it's like, well, the general public has money too. Let's pull them over for fucking traffic violations for everything and just get money out of them, and then we'll arrest people for fucking pot and put them in jail for a year because it's a private system. It's all bullshit.
I've gotten pulled over by cops that I've seen on their phone for being on my phone.
So there's a loophole around that. You know, there's a law that says the cops are allowed to do it. There you go. And that's what they and that's what they do all the time. Is there's like the Constitution and stuff like that, and then they just write laws around the Constitution. It's like, well, we could do it though.
Well, it's like, I can't text, but you can type on a fucking laptop.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How does that make sense? So I guess in this situation, it's just to boil it down, I guess, for the mass murder that took place. So the factors would be the pressure from above, bad management, poor management,
public pressure,
planning, public pressure, pressure from their superiors, and maybe some tensions between the two groups that we're personally and will never be aware of.
Also
we're unaware of that.
The FBI and ATF, just like all those agencies, they all hate each other.
Right. They're all, that's especially in that time where these agencies are like the ATF was kind of newer and they're trying to grow, get some prestige and stuff. And they're always afraid at a time like that. I'm sorry. They're always afraid in a time like that they're gonna no longer exist. That someone up top might say we don't need them anymore.
But you're right. We don't. So the ATF, DEA, those agencies are complete and utter bullshit. All they are is government making jobs that mean nothing. That
Yeah, you
taxpayer
could
money
just
being
have one
wasted on.
agency. You could have one agency to do everything.
You could have local law enforcement handle drugs. That's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And by the way,
Yeah.
drugs shouldn't even be illegal. But I'm speaking in
That's
the
another
scope of
podcast. But
exactly. I'm speaking in the scope of what's going on now and how our laws are. I'm not going to get into the whole libertarian argument, but you can have local law enforcement do that. You don't need a whole federal agency with, by the way, militarized police. Because I don't know if you guys saw, they just arrested a bunch of a bar and his staff in Texas for opening up. They sent a gigantic mech fucking armored car SWAT team to arrest bar owners.
You know why they did that?
Yeah, but cops are bored too.
No, it's a show of force, is what.
Please, I know what it is. My point is, we
Yeah.
shouldn't be arresting people for opening. That's again different argument, but they shouldn't have that.
I completely agree.
There's no reason
situation where you're gonna need a fucking tank.
There's no reason a small town in Texas needs a armored mechanized unit like that. If there ever was, you could have this. The National Guard will roll in and lend you one.
Yeah, National Guard
Or
has
the
all that
state
shit.
police. Give it to the state police for emergencies. But I don't even agree with that. But I'm saying every town doesn't need it. It's crazy. Like every county,
Yeah.
it's like what?
And I think a big problem with a agency like the ATF going in there is they don't have any personal and emotional ties to the community. So how you know it'd be more likely that they wouldn't care.
That's a great point, because look at the local sheriff's department. He's like, every time we talked to David in the Branch Davidians, he's like, no, we did. We never had guns. We just talked.
Yeah, and they would listen, or at least talk.
Or they would
back.
at least be respectful and talk back and hear him out.
Yeah.
As opposed to these guys with the big dick, let me swing my gun shit.
Right. So in the show, the way that they use the CS gas is they have tanks break down the walls.
Yeah, and pump it in.
Yeah.
Which again,
and I mean tanks, dude.
Tanks.
Not,
right.
Like real tanks. I'm not talking a Bradley APC carrier. I'm talking about, like an Abrams tank fucking busting in your front door.
And that's my point. So like, it didn't bother. I mean, I know it did, but I'm being facetious. But like, it didn't bother anybody that like we're using tanks and CS gas on American citizens. Like,
dude, I mean, I bet you a lot. I would bet you the majority of guys that were involved in that on the ATF side, they don't want to do that.
I disagree. I actually disagree with you.
I would understand a small portion always wants to do shit like that, but I probably would feel like the majority of them would not.
Here's why I disagree. Because 4 of them got killed, and they was like, nah, we want revenge.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, I mean, then there had to have been some. There's always people, and no matter what, like
sure, but they're never going to say anything.
Well, even if they did, nothing's gonna,
Sure.
Come of that.
I bet you the majority, especially in the 90s, it was still in the 90s. Law enforcement and like civilians there's still a gigantic gap where they still think they're above the law, but they really thought they're above the law in the 80s and 90s, like for real.
It's crazy something this horrible could happen when MTV still had music,
And once MTV2 went away, that was it.
That was it. Here we are now with the Rona.
Oh my God.
Quick, not to be a shithead, I actually have to go. I have another show at 8. But peace. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for hopping in, Zach. Where can they find you real quick?
Thanks, brother.
Go ahead.
Zack Peanuts. If you guys go on my Facebook page, Zack Petrovich, I'll be streaming the next show at 8 o'clock. So I'll see you guys there. Take
Paul, do you later?
For having me, guys.
See you tomorrow.
All right?
Zach, Warzone later?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Peace, man. Take it easy. Is he gone? What? I feel bad, dude, because hold on. Zach's a good guest. He would be a great guest, but his connection just sucked. So I'm sorry.
That's why I fucking hate this.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's dope that I can be at home and I don't have to go to Philly, but it sucks. This
exactly.
fucking sucks. If we had those 5G towers giving us cancer, we could have fucking
I know, right? Tell the loser people to fix it.
Yeah, seriously. Illuminati, you have one job. Dude, I'll die sooner for some good fucking Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to extend this into a fuck the government rant, and then we can end it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people are familiar with Waco, so I feel like, you know.
I think what's going on right now in the country with all the lockdown shit, again, I know Evan disagrees with me, and that's fine. But we can have our disagreements, but regardless, I think using armed police or law enforcement to arrest people for opening their business is fucking treasonous level shit that you could do to another American citizen in this country. I'm sorry.
I think that it's evidence of a complete police state.
Yeah. Now, again, Evan, you and I could argue about like closing stores down respectfully and stuff, sure. But I will die on that hill if I will never, ever agree with armed police or military, which didn't happen, but armed police arresting people for just trying to provide for their families and stuff.
You could have sent a cop down there, and he could have just said, "Sorry, guys, you got to close up." You know.
And if they say no, he should be like, "Okay," and walk out.
Yeah, later they get a fine in the mail.
Because you're literally breaking constitutional rights, and that's straight up the truth. So, like, you know, and again, you want to have a different discussion about what we should be doing, fine, I'm all for it. But I will die on that hill.
I would actually venture to argue that making a living is a pursuit of happiness.
It is. No, it is. It is. That's literally what it is. That's what it's straight up on Constitution. It's in the Constitution that says you're in your God-given American right to pursue any form of pursuit of a job, thoughts, whatever the fuck you want to do, a business, as long as you know. These are illegal orders. You can't tell someone to close down because of you just can't.
Yeah.
You could recommend.
I agree. I mean, I think from a public health standpoint, you could fine them.
But you know what? I disagree with that personally. But I would rather I'd rather that than you send in armed police for the potentially. What happens? What if someone goes, "I'm not going with you," and now there's a shootout, and now more people are dead? And whose fault is that? The guy or the fucking law and the fucking state? It's the state and law's fault, not that guy.
See, I think what police do is they make the mistake of saying whatever I say you have to do, and that's just not the case.
So, and Steph and I had this argument about 400 times now, but like I respect every sheriff's department and every police department who's come out so far and was like, we will absolutely enforce the Constitution.
Yeah, I took it.
Not your bullshit fucking orders. That's not law. Yeah. And like we're not going to do that. And I respect those cops because they know what they're doing. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
They're doing their job.
Be us. They're supposed to actually protect us. They are protecting us. Every fucking piece of shit piggy pig who fucking wants to go arm deep, pulling out fucking a lady from a salon. Oh, you're real fucking tough. Fuck you. You know. Yeah. I don't blame anybody for like, yeah, get shot. Okay, yeah. And what's gonna happen? Eventually, you're gonna get a civil war because people are gonna be like, no, you're not gonna stop me from fucking providing for my family. It's crazy.
Actually. I was having this, I forget who I was talking about, but I was talking about a violent revolution in America. And I was saying like, you know, people are like, well, the government has drones. And I'm like, yeah, dude. But what you have to understand is those pilots of the drones are just like U.S. citizens.
Yeah, I don't buy that because I'm watching cops do that. So what makes me think they do that?
I'm not saying that there wouldn't be people to do that. What I am saying is not the entire military would fight for the government.
You're right. And you are right. But you know what? Enough damage could be done.
I mean, so one drone could, you know.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's psychotic to me. Like, I still talk to some of my buddies in the NYPD, and they're straight up not enforcing, like, business closures or anything like that.
Interesting.
Philly, too, by the way. Right, Steph? Philly, too? You heard? No?
They are or are not.
And as far as I've heard from my sources in the NYPD, they're not enforcing business closures or anything. Like they're like, hey, just whatever.
See, you know
what? They are closing down parks. So I guess it's city property, whatever. I don't know.
What's annoying about this whole virus is, I don't know what to believe. There's so many different information.
When everything's so wrong and contradicting each other, I don't know how anybody could be sure, is my point, really. Because I'm not sure either what I'm saying. I just feel I'm right. But I could be honest and say I don't know. I don't know how anybody could be like, no, I'm right.
What's annoying, what's annoying is it could just be a pandemic, or it could be the government doing some shady shit.
It literally can't. I don't know. But at least I could sit here going, I don't know. I don't know. What I feel in my heart is I feel it's an overblown thing, and now I feel like they're just using this as let's see how far we can get away with some shit for the future stuff down the road scenario. I don't think Corona's real. No one's saying it's fake. Obviously, I'm not saying it's a fucking fake.
They're blowing it out of.
Yeah, especially when the hospitals are getting $40,000 per COVID death from the government.
That's a $40,000.
Yeah.
A lot.
Anyone on the ventilators, money. Like, by the way, they're also bypassing like 4 steps pre-ventilator. Like, all this shit's shady, and they have all these nurses like, no one's here. The Navy ships. You know how much that Navy ship helped in New York? About 800 people.
I gotta interrupt you real quick. Evan, did he freeze on your screen?
Yeah, for a moment.
He's completely frozen. As long as he's not frozen on the main thing, I mean, it doesn't matter.
You're okay now. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, but sorry.
That Navy ship, the Comfort, whatever, I think it held 800 people.
Dude,
that's nothing.
First of all, the pandemic's real. The last place you should be putting people is a ship.
True.
Because
all of it just contradicts each other. All the models were literally 4 times. Every single model was 4 times off, at least. Every single one. Not one was accurate. Not a single one.
Yeah, see,
I know models aren't supposed to be dead accurate, but like they usually hover around. At least a few do. All of them were off by 4 to 6 times the numbers.
Yeah,
all of them.
Great.
Come on, man.
Not all. No, not all of them. You can't say that. No.
Find me one that was predicted exactly what we're doing right now. You can't find me one.
There was ones that were predicting that the same thing that you were saying, that this whole thing was a hoax and that nobody was going to die.
Oh, I didn't say it was a hoax.
No, I'm saying like that this whole thing was just nothing, and there's been models ranging from everything. It's just the ones in your mainstream media. Everybody just focuses on the big numbers because that's what sells ads.
Go off of, right?
That's what sells ads.
They have the most influence and the most reach.
Right, but here's the problem, guys. We don't listen to the MSM.
Yeah, but even the people who aren't the mainstream media are going to take the bigger numbers, knowing that that's going to get more people on their website. Everybody's in it for ad dollars.
Because you know who they keep quoting? The Washington Institute, and they've been the worst. And that's all.
Yeah,
the media,
you get them.
Fauci
You get
keeps talking about.
You get the World Health. You get the World Health Organization, stuff like that. At least Fauci means well. He's just fucking stuck with a big fucking
WHO is
retard.
Garbage. They're Chinese propaganda run.
They're the worst. But it stinks that especially just normal people can't look at this and be like, have some kind of semblance of like knowledge even, because everything is so confusing.
Let's talk motivation. Okay, so what would be the motivation for blowing it out of proportion?
Obviously, this is easy. So media
from the top, not the media. We know why the media is doing it, but we want to what do you think?
Oh, Trump doesn't want it.
Okay.
No, he definitely wouldn't. No, this fucked him, if anything, because again, say what you will. The fucking economy was booming. Unemployment was super low. He was actually his actual approval was up too. So his shit was actually going the way he wanted to. This hit, boom. So if anything, for him, he's like, fuck. Now, for the Democrats, though, it's like they're like, woo,
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I think this is an actual pandemic, and that I think that these people don't know what they're doing.
No. Blaise,
I don't think I know.
Hold on. I'm not saying conspiracy out. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Blaise is saying how is everybody using this to their advantage, I believe is what you're saying, or how is everybody reacting to it? Right. The Trump and the right are like, fuck, because we're in election year. The left and the Democrats are like, fuck yes, we're gonna make them look bad. That's their motive.
Here's Biden and Trump will win again. So what does it matter?
Well, they're still. Well, hold on. This doesn't make the DNC smart. I'm just saying they're gonna try to use this as a tool. Is my point.
Yeah. That's all I was saying. I'm saying that both sides are dumb. They don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
That's all.
That's what I'm saying too.
That's all.
I'm just saying the motivation for the left to use it as a tool is that.
Okay, so then it came out till initially, obviously, people said that someone ate a monkey, but then someone said...
I don't believe any of that ever.
It was a bat. It was a bat.
I don't believe any of it ever.
Someone said it was made in a lab, was the most recent, update. But if that's true, It came from China, and China kind of tried to hide it from the rest of the world.
Yeah, well, they're authoritarian communistic regime, so of course they did.
Is that a war crime?
Yeah, yeah. It's some. I don't know if it's a war crime. It's probably like a humanitarian crime.
Which would be a cause for war.
Yeah, I'm not going to ever agree to go to war with a country for that. So no.
Me either. But the last thing I heard is that we moved naval ships into their.
If we go into war with China, that's legitimately fucking suicide. That's a mad situation because they have nukes too. So I don't know what are we gonna do.
I know what America seems to keep forgetting is if we fought them straight up, we'd win. But everyone has nukes. So my worry with that would be is if we were to go to war with China, it would start up as a straight up war, and we'd just be about to beat them, and that's when they'd push the button.
Yeah, no, we would never go to that. That's bullshit. I think that's all. That's just fucking dick posturing is all that is. That's fucking nothing. That's psychotic. Also, again, I'm very anti-war. The only reason we should ever go to war is if we are ever physically attacked by an outside force. That's the only time ever we should be in war.
Or somebody invades one of our allies. Other than that, I agree.
I disagree with that too. I'm not. You and I differ on foreign policy, so it's different.
I kind of agree with Blaise on that, though.
You say that we should stay out of affairs, but if let's say France decides to invade Britain.
Yeah.
Well, we got to defend Britain.
Why?
Because they're our allies.
So is France.
Right. Okay, but
that was a bad example. That was a really bad example. No, it's not. That was a really dumb example.
100 years, it became a bad example. Since the beginning of time, it would have been a good example.
Yeah, but now it's a bad example.
If Russia invaded, somebody, one of our allies.
If Russia invaded the EU, America would step in and go, no. Sit down, Putin.
First of all, Russia straight up invaded Ukraine 4 years ago. And no one gave a shit. So
that was the annex of Crimea.
Yeah, it was a little.
They took over a whole place, and no one cared. So listen, it is not our job to do the job of Europe. That's their job.
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is I agree with you. The only time we should go to war is if someone attacks us or somebody invades an allied nation.
Okay, I disagree, but that's fine.
I mean, dude, that's scaling it back.
Yeah, I have a very different view on it. I don't think we should, because it's like, okay, then you go. I don't know, man. I'm on the scale of like, if you're so willing to, then you go pick up a gun and fight. Like, I'm not willing to go fight for England. I'm willing to fight for our country. I'm not willing to go fight for England. So if you're willing to send other American sons and daughters to die for another country's problem, okay, that's on you.
I think depending on the threat, I probably would.
But the only threat I care about is a threat to this country.
The point is, I'd rather die in a virtuous way of like defending England, even though it's not the United States, it's our ally, than die protecting an opiate field.
Oh, yeah, okay, sure. If you're going to make that comparison, but that's not the comparison, is it? The comparison is you're here, home in America, where there's no conflict. Let's say mythical war in 2022 breaks out between France, England, and Italy, right? It's a trifecta war, 3 allies of America. And I'm sitting here going, wow, that sucks for them. Is this affecting us in any way? Not really. And if you're going to sit here and go, well, we should intervene and help out England, okay, then I guess go pick up a gun and fight. But I'm not willing to risk any American life over that war.
I just haven't, dude. Okay, so I'm looking at it in the sense of like, if I was out with one of my friends and some dude punched him, I would grab that dude.
Sure. So a fight in the street that can lead to a crazy altercation, I'm willing to take also my personal friend in the country I reside in the town I live in, who I have a long history with, who I would shed blood for. It's a little different.
It's not though, because
it is. I don't give a fuck about any Italian, English person or Frenchman.
It's not the same, dude. Or I'm sorry.
It's not the same. It's not.
No, shut up. It is the same. The scale is different.
The scale matters when it comes to human life.
I mean, dude,
I'm not trying to turn you on this argument. I'm not even trying to argue with you. I'm just showing you my perspective. I'm not trying to turn anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I wish the wars would end too, man, but.
Because it's easy. I just think it's easy for us to be like, yeah, fight wars, but we're not the ones going to do it.
Dude,
really easy to say it.
If there was something like going on that I believed in, I definitely would fight for it.
Yeah, me too. If we were being targeted and I was like, we need to defend our freedoms and our way of life, I would be the first one to pick up a gun.
Which, by the way, is fucked up that that's how they sell every war to us.
But none of the World War II was the last legitimate war the country fought.
I agree. You think that Vietnam cares about the way America lives?
They don't. We were just trying to stop bullshit and get our way across. That's all it was.
You think Iraq gave a fuck the way?
No, all we do is cause power vacuums. By the way, we 100% cause ISIS. Go America.
I know. I'm just saying it's annoying that they say like it's to protect our freedoms. We're fine.
Fine. We've never not been fine, actually. The only times we've been fine.
My whole life.
Is when England tried to invade us in 1812. That was a problem. And every time after that, we were fine.
Exactly, yeah, when they burned down all of Washington. Yes.
Well, I guess, Spanish-American War, we just took land from Spain. World War II was the last war that was legitimate global threat where Germany and Japan were legitimately
it's pretty black and white who the good and the bad guys were in that one.
Straight up. Like, that's what I'm saying. And again, there's shadiness inside the war itself, right? But, like...
Always will be.
Always will be. But when you scale it back to just not even the cause, but just what was going on, good and bad, pretty clear. Now, again,
the motivation for each country to fight, and for us, it was good. Finally,
right,
for once, it was righteous.
Right, like there were conspiracies within World War II, but the conspiracy, like we were right, like there was no like we were wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like there's none of that.
We stopped a guy from massacring, innocent people, which is kind of, and I think that's kind of how we got where we are. Is that we kind of took that idea, and then they like. The uppers, the upper echelon people, I guess they knew that we gravitate towards that. That's how we view ourselves. So they just expanded that idea and then started using it for everything. And that's why people are so like the troops. And you're like, dude, but you're not seeing the bigger picture. And they're like, no, they're saying all the fucking shit from World War II, which was true, but now it's not.
Now it's not. Exactly. That's the thing. It's like, well, our grandfathers had U-boats off of New York Harbor, so they had a reason. What's your reason?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There were U-boats legitimately sinking ships off the fucking American coast. Like,
yeah.
We were actually under attack.
It's just, it's really frustrating that our government has grown to the point of power that they can just do shit like that, and they don't give a fuck what we think.
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is that they've tricked so many people into believing that everything they do is righteous, militarily wise, that a lot of people don't even question it.
Right, and that's what they want. We also have a big glorification suckfest of like first responders and nurses and doctors. It's like, listen, I was a first responder. I'm be the first one to tell you, I never saw myself as a hero. I legitimately saved a family from drowning, and I was just doing the right thing. Yeah. I was like saving people from dying. Like that's what we all should do. I'm not a hero. Like that's
if I had a radio and then I was where they were drowning, I would try to save them.
Right, like no one makes someone a hero if you're walking down the street and you see a burning building and you pull out babies and you're a fucking radio repairman. That guy did a very heroic thing.
Yeah,
that's status.
Act of courage.
All this bullshit of like nurses and doctors are here. They're doing their job.
Yeah, they sign up for that shit. I saw and this. I think I talked to you about this, Adam. I saw it on the news. And I'm sure we've all seen these clips on the news where they get all the nurses that are crying and this and that and blah blah blah. Please don't make me feel bad, like a Sarah McLachlan commercial.
I don't feel bad.
Because guess what?
I actually get angry.
No, that's the thing. Don't try to make me feel bad. That's my point. You're being manipulative. You signed up for this. You're not a fucking puppy dog that got beaten as a dog. Right. You're a human being that signed up, went to school, spent anywhere from at the low end, if you got super lucky, $25,000 over the course of four to 6 years. But you probably spent $100 to $200,000 in any decent school. You paid to go do this.
Yes.
If this is not what you signed up for, this is not what you signed up for. Whoops. But don't just quit. Don't make it hard for other people. That's my little thing.
To Evan's point,
right, on High History, we say fuck nurses.
To Evan's point, it bothers me when like people do it, like like non-nurses, like we respect our nurses. I'm like, whatever, fine. It's still annoying, but it enrages me.
Swabbed your arm, bro.
Right, But it enrages me when nurses and doctors are like, "We're on the front lines for you." Oh, your job?
You're not getting paid? You're not getting paid.
Oh, you're doing your job?
Yeah.
Oh, then don't do it. Because what did you think? This might never happen? Because that's like me when I was a cop being like, I fucking arrested that drunk driver. I was doing my job for. It's like, you did your job?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't remember I don't
job.
remember seeing interviews with even fucking, like an army man fucking who lost his legs who's complaining. I was No, he was I did my damn job and I'm now dealing with it.
I mean, the reason he was there was bullshit,
but he signed up, but he still signed up for it. Yeah.
Right, he still signed up for it, so he knew he was getting into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say this forever is that like the foot soldier is a hero.
No, I disagree.
No, because it's not their fault that they're there and they're just trying to protect their friends at that point.
Oh, what you mean in the heat of battle?
Yeah, just like yes. So like those
yeah, okay, fine, but then let's just expand on that and extrapolate one step out. But you signed up.
That's true, but I mean, there's a difference between signing up and being like, oh, people are sick here, and signing up, dude, because there's no way to replicate war without being in war. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's no way you could have known exactly what being in war would feel like until you're in war.
But I'm not even talking about. I'm talking. But you know the duty of an army, of a standing army. You know what you may do.
Absolutely.
So
you're gonna have to kill people.
Regardless, you might be in a scenario one day where you're like, "Oh, I'm in a country where I don't agree with why we're here, and now I'm killing people defending their land."
It's happened a lot.
Which I told you this, Blaise, but like I'll say it for the podcast, like. You know, we shit on Iran so hard. I'm not saying they're saints. Like, they're whatever. They throw gay people off buildings. They treat their women terrible. They're not angels. I'm just saying.
Well, that's not our fucking business anyway.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, like, we Americans, like, fuck Iran. I'm like, really? Okay, imagine this. Let me just paint you a picture. Imagine Iran in 1955 came over here. They ousted Dwight Eisenhower, a duly elected president. They put in who they wanted to be president, then invaded Canada and Mexico, and then started killing American troops with bombs and drone strikes. And then 25 years into the occupation, an American or two was like, you know what? Fuck you. And they take an embassy over, and they're like, terrorist, you guys are terrorists.
Throwing rocks.
Because that's what we did to them. In the 70s, they were like, fuck you, get the fuck out of here. And we're like, look at these monster savages, terrorists. They're like, they're defending their land. We're occupying them.
Yeah, just so we can both have a hot take. I've always said this I've told you this before too, but I'll say it for the podcast, is that movie Red Dawn, where America gets invaded by Russia. That's a Patrick Swayze one. Then there's a newer one.
Yeah, with Thor.
One, Russia invades, and him and his buddies, they start killing Russian soldiers like guerrilla style. And then I said to somebody once that that's literally ISIS.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
It is literally ISIS.
Except the difference is Russia didn't create ISIS in that scenario, in that movie. We created ISIS. Like, the government essentially created ISIS.
Well, no. See, Russia would create ISIS in the scenario of that movie, because those kids started killing Russian soldiers like that because Russia invaded.
Oh, okay. I was even taking a step further, like, as in, like, we were even more involved in ISIS than people like to admit.
Okay, I see what you mean. All right, well,
yeah. But yes, essentially the Taliban or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the Mujahideen, whatever.
They're terrorists.
Yes.
And I got so much shit for that. And it was like, dude, you're telling me that if another country invaded America, then occupied America, there wouldn't be Americans chopping heads off?
Right.
Get the fuck out of here.
And we're a country full of fucking crazy savages too, by the way. Like, the people don't realize that. Like, we're not like a warlike country, but like in times of stress, like, Americans are like, no, we'll fucking kill. like we have a flip switch on us. I think we're one of the few countries like that. I think maybe us in England, we're like, there's that thing where it's like, we're very normally, I mean, the average person, not, again, we're involved in every single war you could be as a country, but I mean, like, average American is like, we're very well, it's like, hey man, you do you, I do me. But in times of crisis or stress or like battle, we're like, we have that flip. we're like, no, I could kill a bunch of people and be fine with it if I have to. Yeah. It's weird.
And I have a gun right here.
Yeah.
That's like America. Yeah. Absolutely, dude. All right. Well, I don't know. How much time we got? Like, what are we at?
1 hour and 10 minutes.
Ooh.
Dude, this is like the longest podcast I've ever done, bro. It's crazy. Well, I mean, I don't know. We could actually ramble about this shit forever, to be honest.
I know. Well, we can wrap it up. I could take a break, and then we can play a little Warzone later.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'll give Steph some rubs so she doesn't yell at me.
All right,
the dog's still here, by the way.
Fuck the dog. Adam, thank you for coming.
Yeah, that was fun.
Again. So people can look you up and go ahead.
Okay, at Adam Nutter on Twitter and Instagram, at Adam Nutter Comedy on Facebook, and check out Nerds with Words podcast and Slapstick Sports podcast, which are three of us, all co-hosts.
Yeah. This won't come out. Go ahead.
No, if you give me the description, it'll come out tonight.
No, it's just, well, yeah, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll go up and write a description so it can come out tonight, so that way people will see this. But we're going live tomorrow on Slapstick Sports to cover the big fight in
UFC 249,
Florida, right? Jacksonville.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Evan, they can follow you at
Producer Evan NWW. Just find me there.
Boom.
Pretty much on the two things, YouTube and Instagram. That's all I do.
All right. And I've been your host, Blaise G. You can follow me on Blaise G Comedy. Go to drop10.com. Check out all the other shows on the Drop 10 Network. They usually have great live comedy shows that they set up. Obviously, with the quarantine, that's out of style right now, but it's gonna come back, and it's gonna come back fierce. So just keep a heads up out there at the drop10.com. So thank you guys for listening. This has been an episode of High History, Waco style.
Boom, baby.
Peace.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.